in the text box to the right. And this will be recorded. It'll be saved in our watch panel room after it all wraps up. Tonight we also have a second screening of our short block 2, as well as a sort of hangout in our rooftop party room, which is where we hope to connect and see everyone after this Q&A. Our moderator for this is Dawn Borchardt, and Dawn is a filmmaker, a podcaster, and a film festival producer. Thank you, Dawn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to get to talk with you all. Riel, I see your name. Is it all three? Is it everybody that's there?
It's just us.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm going to go around and ask some questions. We'll have 30 minutes to have a conversation with everyone, but I'll go in order of the film. But first, I can introduce you all. We have Noam Argov with Let Me Assist You. Excuse me. We have Heidi Neff with The Long Goodbye. We have Mazday with Miho. And Chris, are you the interpreter? Okay. And then Melissa, it looks like you are here. Melissa Kong with Don't Worry About It. And we have the leads Clara McGregor and Riel Macklem, and the director Sasha Lebedeva with Hex and Rage. So sorry if I pronounced anyone's name wrong. But I don't see Sasha either. Is she in here?
No, so I'm Sasha and Clara's not here.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Okay, got it. Hello. Okay. Well, I'm going to go around, like I said, in order of the films. And then if you're in the audience, feel free to put your questions in the chat and we'll get to those at the end. So the first question is for Noam. So your film, Let Me Assist You, you really kind of upgraded us from, I would say, blow up doll to an Alexa, or rather an Athena, as like breakup comfort for men specifically. But how did this story come about for you?
Thanks for having me. I think like I was just trying to think of something I could make during the pandemic where like people wouldn't touch each other, and like AI and breakups came to mind. So that was kind of how it was. But I was just really interested how like during the pandemic, you know, like I was seeing all these TikToks about how like kids were feeling like isolated because like Google Home didn't know who they were, who they are, and things like that. And like their Alexa didn't know them by name, but they knew their brother and stuff. And I think like a lot of us really came to like cohabitate with all of these sort of like AI beings during the pandemic, and I just wanted to like explore that. And then I think the other layer of it is like I used to, before I was a filmmaker, like years ago, I worked at like a health and wellness startup in Silicon Valley, and I'm just like have been very curious about our like obsession with optimization and like wanting things to be not messy or sad through technology, and therefore kind of like stripping us of like what makes us human. So all those things together.
That's quite a career change, but I like that combination that you brought in for it. This next question is for Heidi, the director of The Long Goodbye. So I was looking online a little bit about you and as an artist and your filmmaking. And so I saw that you were selling prints from the film and are obviously a visual artist because your film's an animation. So I was wondering if you could talk about, as a visual artist, what is the value and importance of sharing your ideas through video or film? And also, like, how can this, a two-part question, I guess, how can this affect politics, and like how do videos maybe affect people differently than other forms of art that you do?
Those are really good questions that I haven't really thought about, but I'm glad that you said that, because I'm not, like, I haven't really gotten to the point where I'm considering myself a filmmaker. but what I'm interested in doing right now every day is animating and working on more short films. So like that's what I do more than anything else. But it's all new to me in that way. Whoa, I lost total track of the question. Okay, so but you were because there were two parts, and but it was talking about. I know the second part was about like how can I like affect political change through video, and I think I made a lot of paintings that had political themes to them, and I would have people come into my studio and I would have them questioning, why is it painting? Like, why would this be a painting? Why wouldn't you use some other medium? And I'm just thinking, well, because that's what I do. I paint. I don't, like that's just what comes naturally. But I do think there's really something to that. Like I can't really, a painting is usually displayed in a gallery and maybe people come see it every once in a while. And it's just not a very wide audience. And just to be able to throw stuff up on, YouTube, social media, put it, just really get it out into the world. I think it has much more of a chance of, at least getting at people's hearts and minds that way. But did I miss? Yeah, I think I missed the question.
Well, I think you answered it. But it was just about kind of the comparison between filmmaking and visual art. And I have to shout out to Katie Small in the comments who said you're a filmmaker in our eyes, and you are literally a part of a film fest, so you are a filmmaker.
Yeah,
so
no.
Confidently say that.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just like it's a new thing to say that I'm an animator, and then like it's like, oh yeah, and then I'm with all these like amazing filmmakers right here, and I'm a very different kind of film, so it's really cool to be part of this.
Yeah, well, welcome.
Thank you.
This next question for Mazday. Am I saying your name correctly? Okay, with Miho. And your film is so fun and colorful. Can you talk about the creative process behind the film, like from story to set to costuming?
Yes. Well, I want to speak in Spanish because my English is not good. Bueno, mi idea con mi hijo era que fuera como un cuento de hadas, pero mexicano, con aspectos inspirados en mi cultura y usar la fantasía para representarnos, ¿no? Como personas racializadas. Entonces, quise reinterpretar el cuento del Rey Midas de una manera mexicana. Digamos, ese fue como el concepto inicial.
She says that she wanted to. Can you hear me all? Okay. She wanted to make like a fairy tale with Mexican inspiration. She wanted to use fantasy and reinterpret the King Midas tale, and to express race. There's like a specific concept in Spanish, but it's like race and like Mexicanity in her work.
Well, it's beautiful, and I think we all had a lot of fun watching it, so thank you.
Thank you.
This next question is for Melissa Kong with Don't Worry About It. I'm curious to talk about your use of comedy in your film, because really at the root of this film, it's about a woman with OCD who is dealing with grief, which could be a very serious topic at face value. But what do you see the role as comedy in that, and what made you use that as a tool to tell your story?
Yeah, sorry, I apologize if I look distracted or there's voices around me. I'm currently on set. So I apologize. Yeah, the use of comedy, I think for me, it's because I think life doesn't stop just because you have a mental illness or you're in a dark period of your life. There's always going to be something oddly strange and funny still going on. That's why I think there isn't any comedy like about her actual disorder. It's actually the thing she's interacting with in spite of it. So I think that's where I try to pull the comedy from. And for me, that's what I always kind of view everything from kind of a sort of comedic lens, the lighter side of things.
Are you on your own set right now? Are you making a new film?
Oh, no, I wish. No, I'm on someone else's set right now, filming a TV show. So.
Cool. Still cool. You're out there really doing it. Thank you
Yeah.
for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, I stepped away. I was like, I can do this. I'll step away.
Cool.
They'll leave me.
This next question's for Sasha specifically, and then I'll have another question for Riel. Sasha, your film is really focusing on young female characters who are sex positive and confident. I'm curious to hear you talk about the importance of having strong female leads in your films.
Yeah, I mean, we actually co-wrote it with Riel, and so I directed it and she was in it. And I think it's really important that because it's something that we all are going through, and especially like young women and for teenagers, I think it's important to, you know, again, normalize sex and talking about sex. And I think having like female characters like in the center of it was just something that came to us naturally because we are girls and we were writing about, you know, something we were kind of maybe dealing with on a daily basis. So I think it just like came naturally to us to write about like strong female characters.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can reframe this question a little bit towards screenwriting, Riel, too, but was wondering if you could talk about what you related to with your character and maybe what was really fun or especially challenging.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, rage is in our title. And I don't really consider myself a very angry person. I'm a feminist, of course, but I'm not a man-hating person, and I don't think Amber is either. It's just that they're young women, younger than me, who are sort of trying to navigate the dating world and like their own sexuality. Amber's figuring out who she is, who she's attracted to. Maybe that's her best friend. And I think we've all sort of been there at some point. I think for me, it was just what I really wanted to take away. And Sasha and I talked about this a lot as writers and as an actor. There are no purely bad characters and there are no purely good characters. And it's about sort of finding the in between and being able to play in that space. So that's what I tried to do. And she helped me do it too. So it was fun.
I loved it. Like, I loved your story, and then also the way you brought it to life, like visually, it was just fun to look at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sasha.
We have a couple of questions from the audience. The first one, if anyone wants to take the bait on this one, is, are any of these shorts inspiring a future directed feature? Man's Day?
Pues no estaba pensado para que fuera así, pero me han dicho que podría haber sido como una película. Mijo.
She's not really thinking of it, but she's been told that it totally should.
I agree. And it looks like there's a lot of clapping hands and hearts from the audience, so they agree too. Anyone else? Melissa?
Yeah, actually, it was a feature first, and I actually made the short to actually hopefully get financing to actually make the feature. So it was, it's actually went the other way around.
That's hilarious. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see these features. The next question we have, I have a question specifically for Noam. How was the casting process for the voice of Athena?
Yeah, thanks. It was very involved. I think I auditioned so many people, and it was really I really wanted to cast an older woman, like a woman that was older than, like, not an older woman, but a woman that was older than the characters. In the, because they're like 20s, whatever. And so I really wanted like a woman that had like history and knowledge and like authority in her voice. And yeah, it was just a very long audition process. And we ended up going with this woman named Anna Maria Jamolka, who is this like very fierce Cuban woman, who's awesome. And she's been in some stuff, but she mostly, like, it just ended up, it's like any casting thing. Like the voice was part of it, but it ended up being like she really understood the character. And when we were playing around, improving, rehearsing, she like, was coming up with these like really funny lines and moments and kind of like spontaneous things. Like we did one rehearsal with Anna and Dan, who plays Jason, the guy, and she was like teaching him how to make pasta sauce and like yelling at him. And like that was just hilarious, and he like totally like kind of bowed down to her. Like it was like, and she made him really anxious, and I was like, oh, this is great. So I think it was just, it's like partly, it was like, I think maybe like 50% voice, and then like 50% just the person who really got the character the most, and like the satire of it.
Thank you. This next question's for Heidi. This person says they want to hear more about your animation process and how are you teaching yourself to animate?
So I had asked for a sabbatical, had gotten a sabbatical spring of 2020, which was, a very interesting time to get a sabbatical, and got very interrupted. But the whole point of the sabbatical was I was going to teach myself animation, take a few little workshops to learn some different softwares, and spend the time learning that. And, as somebody who already draws a lot, like that's the main thing. But then I've really found that working just on the iPad, I can do almost everything, and then put it together, assemble it later, and do editing and stuff like that later. So I would say that honestly, I had promised that I would make a film out of this sabbatical, and I did not do it spring of 2020 because I don't know about y'all, but it was a hard time. And yeah, and I have 2 kids too, so I had like kindergarten desk next to me and like all kinds of stuff going on. But I did finally kind of say I have to do this, and I taught myself to animate by deciding I was going to do this particular movie because I said, like, I'm doing this, and I have this much time to get something done, and oh my God, if I just animate something every day from the election to the inauguration, the timing was right that I kind of said I would get something done the day after the inauguration. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be an interesting time. I kind of wish it hadn't been as interesting as a time because I had no idea what was going to happen. But I set out to do it. And so it was just, making really short animations every day and practicing over and over again. But if you are interested in animation, there's a lot of apps, but I just love using Procreate on the iPad. Like, just that's my favorite. I use a lot of different apps and try different things, but it's very easy to pick up to do frame by frame.
That's awesome. That's cool to hear that you taught yourself, but I'm also sorry your sabbatical was at the time when we all had a version of sabbatical.
Right. I mean, exactly. Right. I had like an extra, right. It was less restful than I expected. It's okay.
I'm going to throw this next question to Melissa first, and then Sasha and Riel next. Melissa, are there themes that you explored in these short films, common themes across your work? And what do you see as your recurring themes?
Sorry, there's a car coming this way. Yeah, I think for me, it's always about kind of finding hope in some sort of levity in any dark place you're at, and realizing like kind of the strength you have, because a lot of my characters are underdogs, someone you don't think about, and maybe don't expect to do or be something. So I always kind of want to shed light on like a different version or different like subvert expectations or assumptions about whoever. That's definitely something that in all my kind of writing I always try to do. But yeah, sorry, I apologize. I'm like just trying not to get hit here.
I love it. You're on the theme. Riel and Sasha, same question to you. Are there themes that you've explored in your films that are common? And if so, what are those themes?
Sure. We'll both answer, but I guess I'm still working on my body of work. I don't really know if I can like be like anyway. But I will say that my two favorite genres are like the buddy comedy and the thriller, and both of them are pretty androcentric, and I wanted to create like a fun intersection of the two where there are really strong independent women characters, and just sort of like reclaim that genre. I hope I can get to explore that more, but this was the first film that I wrote and produced, so we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. For me, I think a lot of it is connected to like failure, and just like the idea of failure and how it's not always like we win at the end. But you know, I'm also working on more projects, and hopefully, eventually, it's gonna be like a through line will appear, and it's gonna be more clear, and it's gonna be for other people to tell me as opposed to me really understand it, because I think it's something that comes to you kind of like naturally, just like appears like throughout your work. But yeah.
Hey. This next question I have for Maste. Your film is about a young dreamer. And so I'm curious to hear, what were some of the dreams you had when you were young, and maybe how have those changed to now?
Esa es una pregunta muy bonita porque justo cuando yo era pequeña quería hacer cine y me gustaba mucho la fantasía, pero siendo de México y siendo pues pobre, pensaba que hacer cine de fantasía no era posible, y haber hecho Mi hijo como un cortometraje de fantasía es como un sueño hecho realidad para mí.
She says that that is a very beautiful question, because when she was little, she always wanted to make movies about fantasy, but being poor in Mexico, she thought it was like very hard, and creating Mijo is like a dream come true.
I love that. I'm glad I asked. Well, congrats, you're here, and your dreams have come true now. I have a question for Noam. So, I was looking at your IMDb earlier, and it looks like you do both narratives and documentary filmmaking. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges or some of the things that you really enjoy navigating both of those different styles.
Yeah, that's a fun question. I started out, I've been doing docs for like the last 5 years, and I started out in like outdoor adventure sport documentaries. So like rock climbing, mountaineering, like skiing, all that kind of crazy stuff. And so like, yeah, and then stuff in like more remote areas and things like that, more about like cultural preservation, things like that. So it's funny that it feels like two split personalities in a way. Like my friends in the like outdoor doc community call me broem. So I don't know if that means anything. But like, yeah, I think mostly I started transitioning to narrative because I think, you know, with documentaries, there's just two different kind of sides to it. Like with documentaries, you have the authenticity of like the real thing, and you get to like connect with people, and with your subjects, and you spend years and years and years with them. And then, you know, and you have to like really stick to their stories, and that's kind of the art there. And how do you craft like this human being on camera? And then I guess narrative's kind of the same, but I like the flexibility of writing, to what I want to say, and to, you know, a specific maybe message or story that I want to tell that might deviate from something that exists. And that feels really, really special and powerful. But I love working with actors. And so I think in a way it's like the core of each medium is the same. Like you're just really connecting with people and like accessing the human experience. And that's like my favorite thing about movies. Sorry to get all sappy.
I love that answer. This next question is kind of a combination of what someone asked in the audience and something I had. So this is for everybody. We can go down the row, or you can just raise your hand, whichever. I want to hear like everyone's funniest story or making this film, or alternatively, like what is something that was like incredibly challenging? Just like what's something while making this film that you were like, oh my gosh. So Heidi, if you want to take it first, because you were first, or Noam, you were first actually, and then Heidi, if you want to go in that order, and then we can go down the line.
I'll be quick because I just
Yeah.
talked everybody's ears off. Ours was like the Roomba. The Roomba was so hard to direct. Like we filmed in New York, and they just wanted to like clean the sidewalk of the East River, and it like wouldn't go in a straight line. And luckily we weren't shooting on film, so we had as many takes as we wanted, lighting permitted. But yeah, the Roomba was a bad actor. That was it.
That's hilarious. Heidi.
That's awesome. And like I loved the Roomba. Like it just made me really, really happy. Very, very happy. And yeah, the hardest thing for me was the biggest challenge was definitely that I had a time constraint, and that I was getting this all done like the day after the last little piece was put together, and not knowing what was going to happen. And so yeah, it was a really challenging, short, compressed period, couple of months, and then yeah, but otherwise that was a pretty easy answer to that one.
Day, do you have an oh my gosh fun or challenging story?
Yes, tenemos muchísimas. De hecho, Cristina es productora asociada y también puede contar su experiencia. Pero, por ejemplo, los perritos de Little Dogs, dirigirlos fue muy difícil. Y los coches que aparecen, que sale al final, se lo robaron al dueño que nos lo iba a prestar una semana antes, entre un montón de cuestiones de la producción, porque tiene muchos props y es muy elaborada, y casi conseguir cada cosa fue un reto para nosotros.
She says that we had a lot of issues. I'm a co-producer, and I will say it was hard because there was a lot of props and little details that had to be like very specific. The dogs, they were hard to direct, and I remember Hitchcock said that the worst was like working with animals and children. So I guess he was right. The guy that was gonna he was gonna give us his car for the last car, the pimped car, I think. His car, it was very, 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 very hard to find the cars. His car, he said yes, but his car was stolen 1 week before shooting. So we had to go everywhere to find another. Also,
Pero al final recuperó su coche justo el día del rodaje.
En serio? And that he got the I forgot about that story. But he got his car back the same day of the shooting. Yeah, so it was
El que
strange.
tiene the one with the flames. Yes.
Mhm. To me, something that was very interesting to get was the penacho, like the feather crown. We had to go. There's this like plaza in downtown where some it's like a little tribe of people who for generations have danced the pre-Hispanic dances, and they have all the attire, and they dance there like every day. So I went there with my coworker to get the penacho and to see like what we could do to get one, because they are very, very expensive, very hard to make. They take like feathers from they don't take the actual bird and take the feathers from it. They have to like recollect them in nature. So it was very hard to get the specific colors that the director wanted, right? Spoiled. We have to spoil the directors, right? And I think to me that was one of the biggest challenges to get that thing.
Well, the colors do seem very important in Mazday's defense. So good job getting those.
Thank you.
But so Melissa, what's your oh my gosh, really fun or really challenging story?
I mean, I feel like that's on screen, like basically her having to eat a cookie off the toilet. But I think during filming, we actually there was a bungee cord that was like holding the bathroom door open, and it flew off and like flew into a toilet, and everyone was like, "Ew!" And and then my producer Grace was the only one who was like willing to take it out and like pick it up from the toilet. She's like, "It's just water, guys." I was like, "Didn't we just learn this from the filming of the whole short? Like, it's okay to be if germs are okay. If you're dirty, it's okay." So I just thought it was ironic that we had an actual moment where everyone got really grossed out and had to like face their fears. That was pretty funny to me.
The themes of your film really put to the test with everyone. That's great. Last but not least, Sasha and Riel.
We actually had a lot of challenges because we were so ambitious and we had almost no money. And we shot during COVID 2020, it's September 2020. So we had to like, test everybody and we had like quite a big crew. And then the last day of our production, it was like one of the hottest day in the history of California. And I was really worried that people are gonna have like a heat stroke, and like I'm like, what if everybody gets COVID and then a heat stroke, and like am I gonna get sued? And but also on the second day, we had a lot of locations and we didn't get permits for all of them. So we were shooting on this Airbnb, like outside of this Airbnb in Los Feliz, and we were like putting up lights and
so nervous,
really nervous about it because Los Feliz is like such a like bougie neighborhood, and then this woman comes out of her house and starts walking like towards us, and we're like, okay, I guess we're gonna run into trouble. And then what she does, she actually puts up this like plate, and she's like, "Do you guys want some fruit?" She was like an old
She comes
lady.
out with the like most delicious figs I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. So that was sweet, and we didn't get into any trouble, so that was good.
I love it.
The whole
it's also
and
funny. Oh, I was just gonna kind of like Melissa's story, like someone brought you cookies that you were suspicious of, maybe because of your film.
No, we were, I think.
Yeah.
We were a little. Plus, it was really hot, so we're like, is this even gonna taste good? Like, it's like boiling hot. It was so good.
Them. Okay.
They were so good. They were good. I ate them.
Well, that's all we have time for, everyone. Thank you so much. I know Katie's going to come back to close us out, but I had a really great time with you all. And everyone who's here, go follow these amazing filmmakers on Instagram. support them in every way you can. We got to support the other people in our community. So thank you all. So nice to meet you. Thank you.